Summary of the poem Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen is a vivid and powerful poem that depicts the gruesome reality of war, challenging the traditional glorification of dying for one's country. The poem begins with a haunting image of soldiers trudging through the battlefield, exhausted and broken. These men are compared to old beggars and hags, emphasizing their physical and mental deterioration. As they march through the sludge, they are barely conscious, some having lost their boots and limping with bloody feet, completely drained and desensitized to the surrounding chaos. Suddenly, the soldiers are attacked with gas shells, creating a frantic and desperate scene as they scramble to put on their gas masks in time. Unfortunately, one soldier fails to do so and suffers a horrific death, described in graphic detail. The poet compares the scene to a man drowning under a green sea, highlighting the helplessness and agony of the soldier as he succumbs to the gas. The speaker then shifts to a more personal and reflective tone, haunted by the memory of the dying soldier. He describes how the soldier's face contorts in pain, with white eyes writhing and blood gurgling from his corrupted lungs. The imagery is grotesque and disturbing, meant to convey the true horror of war. In the final lines, Owen addresses the reader directly, particularly those who promote the idea that it is noble and honorable to die for one's country. He condemns this notion as a lie, suggesting that if people witnessed the brutal reality of war, they would not encourage young men to seek glory in battle. The Latin phrase dulce et decorum est pro patria mori, which means it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country, is revealed as a cruel and misleading ideal. Overall, Dulce et Decorum Est serves as a powerful critique of war propaganda and the romanticization of military sacrifice. Through stark and horrifying imagery, Owen exposes the devastating effects of war on soldiers, challenging the glorified perception of dying for one's country and emphasizing the need for a more truthful representation of the horrors of war.
Line-by-line explanation of the poem Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen.
Line 1, bent double, like old beggars under sacks. Explanation. The soldiers are described as being bent double, indicating their extreme physical exhaustion and pain. This simile compares them to old beggars under sacks, suggesting they are weighed down by heavy burdens. The comparison highlights their wretched, destitute state, stripped of dignity and pride, much like beggars who carry their possessions on their backs. The image evokes a sense of hopelessness and the dehumanizing effect of war. Line 2, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge. Explanation. The phrase knock-kneed implies that the soldiers' knees are weak and trembling, further emphasizing their physical debilitation. Coughing like hags draws a parallel to old, sickly women, suggesting the soldiers are prematurely aged and in poor health due to their harsh conditions. The cursed through sludge part describes their struggle through muddy terrain, underlining the miserable and grueling nature of their journey. The word cursed implies their frustration and despair. Line 3, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs. Explanation. The soldiers turn their backs on the haunting flares, which represent the constant threat and presence of enemy fire. The term haunting implies that the flares are not only physically dangerous but also psychologically tormenting, lingering in their minds. Turning their backs on the flares suggests a retreat or a temporary respite from battle, but the word haunting indicates that the memories of these flares will continue to haunt them. Line 4, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Explanation. The soldiers begin to trudge toward a place of rest, but it is described as distant, indicating that relief is far away and hard to reach. The word trudge conveys the slow, laborious effort required to move forward, emphasizing their exhaustion and the seemingly endless nature of their journey. The distant rest symbolizes not just physical rest, but also a longing for peace and escape from the horrors of war. Line 5, men marched to sleep. Many had lost their boots. Explanation. The soldiers are so fatigued that they appear to be marching in their sleep, indicating a level of exhaustion beyond mere tiredness. Many had lost their boots shows the harsh conditions they endure. Without boots, their feet are exposed to injury and discomfort. This detail emphasizes the physical toll the war has taken on them and the lack of adequate supplies and care. Line 6, but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind. Explanation. Despite their injuries and the fact that many are bloodshot, walking with bloody feet, the soldiers continue to limp forward. All went lame, all blind suggests that every soldier is affected, either physically lame or metaphorically blind from exhaustion and despair. This line highlights the collective suffering and determination of the soldiers to keep moving despite their debilitating conditions. Line 7, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots. Explanation. The soldiers are described as being drunk with fatigue, indicating that their exhaustion is so overwhelming it impairs their senses and coordination, much like intoxication. They are deaf even to the hoots of incoming gas shells, meaning their tiredness makes them oblivious to the dangers around them. This line underscores the debilitating effects of extreme fatigue and the constant, unrelenting threat of war. Line 8, of gas shells dropping softly behind. Explanation. Gas shells are described as dropping softly, which contrasts with their deadly nature. The word softly emphasizes the insidious and silent danger of gas attacks, which can occur without warning and have devastating effects. This line reinforces the ever-present peril the soldiers face, even as they march away from the front lines. Line 9, gas. Gas. Quick, boys. An ecstasy of fumbling. Explanation. The sudden shout of gas. Gas creates a sense of immediate danger and panic. The phrase "quick, boys" is a desperate call to action, urging the soldiers to put on their gas masks. An ecstasy of fumbling describes the frantic, chaotic attempts to don their masks. The word ecstasy here is ironic, highlighting the extreme and urgent nature of their movements rather than any joy. Line 10, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. Explanation. The soldiers managed to fit their clumsy helmets, gas masks, just in time to protect themselves from the gas. The adjective clumsy suggests that the masks are difficult to handle and not user-friendly, adding to the stress of the situation. This line highlights the narrow escape from the deadly gas and the urgency of their actions. Line 11, but someone still was yelling out and stumbling. Explanation. Despite the overall success in donning the gas masks, one soldier is still yelling out and stumbling, indicating that he has not managed to protect himself in time. His desperate cries and unsteady movements convey a sense of panic and helplessness, emphasizing the chaos and danger of the gas attack. Line 12, and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Explanation. The soldier's movements are compared to someone caught in fire or lime, both of which cause intense pain and damage. Floundering suggests that he is struggling and thrashing about, unable to escape his suffering. This simile vividly conveys the agony and helplessness of the soldier as he succumbs to the gas. Line 13. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light. Explanation. The speaker sees the scene through the lenses of his gas mask, which are described as misty panes, indicating limited and unclear vision. The thick green light refers to the eerie, greenish glow of the gas, creating a surreal and nightmarish atmosphere. This line underscores the disorienting and terrifying nature of the gas attack. Line 14, as under a green sea, I saw him drowning. Explanation. The gas is likened to a green sea, and the soldier appears to be drowning in it. This metaphor emphasizes the suffocating and overwhelming nature of the gas. The image of drowning conveys the soldier's helplessness and the inevitability of his death, creating a powerful and distressing visual. Line 15, in all my dreams before my helpless sight. Explanation. The speaker is haunted by the memory of the soldier's death, which replays in his dreams. The phrase helpless sight indicates the speaker's inability to intervene or change the outcome. This line highlights the enduring psychological trauma of witnessing such a horrifying event. Line 16, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. Explanation. In the speaker's dreams, the dying soldier continues to plunge towards him, reliving his final moments of guttering, struggling, choking, and drowning in the gas. These vivid and graphic verbs emphasize the soldier's intense suffering and the haunting nature of the memory for the speaker. Line 17, if in some smothering dreams, you too could pace. Explanation. The speaker invites the reader to imagine themselves experiencing the same smothering dreams he does. The word smothering conveys a sense of suffocation and entrapment, reflecting the horror of the gas attack. This line aims to create empathy and understanding in the reader. Line 18, behind the wagon that we flung him in. Explanation. The speaker describes how the soldiers flung the dead or dying soldier into a wagon, highlighting the brutal and indifferent treatment of the dead. The word flung suggests a lack of care and the harsh reality of war, where there is little time for compassion. Line 19, and watch the white eyes writhing in his face. Explanation. The speaker asks the reader to visualize the soldier's white eyes writhing in his face, a grotesque and disturbing image. This detail emphasizes the soldier's agony and the unnatural contortions caused by the gas. The image is meant to shock and horrify the reader. Line 20, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin. Explanation. The soldier's face is compared to that of a devil weary of sin, suggesting a grotesque and tormented appearance. This simile conveys the extreme suffering and dehumanization experienced by the soldier, and the moral corruption associated with war. Line 21. If you could hear, at every jolt, the blood. Explanation. The speaker describes the gruesome sounds of the soldier's blood gurgling with each movement of the wagon. This auditory detail adds to the horror and realism of the scene, emphasizing the physical suffering of the soldier. Line 22, come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs. Explanation. The soldier's lungs are filled with frothy blood, corrupted by the gas. The word gargling vividly conveys the sound and texture of the blood, enhancing the graphic and disturbing nature of the description. This detail underscores the lethal effects of the gas. Line 23, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud. Explanation. The suffering described is compared to the obscenity of cancer and the bitterness of cud. Cancer represents something vile and incurable, while cud, chewed food regurgitated by animals, suggests something repulsive and unpleasant. These comparisons highlight the repugnant and horrifying nature of the soldier's condition. Line 24, of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. Explanation. The speaker likens the soldier's suffering to incurable sores on innocent tongues, emphasizing the tragic and undeserved nature of the pain endured by young soldiers. The word vile underscores the repulsiveness of the sores, while innocent highlights the injustice of their suffering. Line 25, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest. Explanation. The speaker addresses the reader directly as my friend, making the message personal. He critiques those who speak of war with enthusiasm and zeal, suggesting that if they experienced the horrors he describes, they would not promote war so eagerly. Line 26, to children ardent for some desperate glory. Explanation. The speaker condemns the act of encouraging young people, children, who are eager for glory to participate in war. The word ardent suggests a passionate desire, while desperate glory critiques the misguided and dangerous pursuit of heroism in war. Line 27, the old lie, Dulce et Decorum Est. Explanation. The phrase the old lie refers to the widely accepted notion that it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country. The speaker explicitly calls this belief a lie, challenging the romanticized view of war. The Latin phrase Dulce et Decorum Est comes from the Roman poet Horace and has been used to glorify war and patriotism. Line 28, pro patria mori. Explanation. The full Latin phrase translates to "it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country." The poem ends by rejecting this idea, highlighting the brutal reality of war and the falsehood of its glorification. The conclusion serves as a powerful denunciation of war propaganda and the unnecessary suffering it causes.
About the poet. Wilfred Owen was born on March 18, 1893, in Oswestry, Shropshire, England. A soldier and poet, he is best known for his poignant and graphic portrayals of the First World War. Owen initially worked as a teacher and later studied at London's University College. His enlistment in the British Army in 1915 marked the beginning of his intense and tragic war experiences. Owen's poetry, characterized by its vivid and unsettling imagery, emerged from the brutal realities of trench warfare. His works, including Dulce et Decorum Est and Exposure, critique the romanticized views of war and highlight the physical and emotional suffering of soldiers. Owen's innovative use of language and his commitment to conveying the grim truth of war set him apart from his contemporaries. He was killed in action on November 4, 1918, just a week before the armistice. Despite his brief life, Owen's poetry remains a powerful and enduring voice against the horrors of war.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.